All right, and we're live. Another episode of Fixture Focus, where we talk to supporters of the clubs that West Ham are about to play in the upcoming Premier League match. As always, I'm your host, Justin Wasnick. Welcome from wherever in the world that you're watching today, this evening, this morning, wherever you're at. Thanks for supporting American Hammers, as always. Today, I speak with Luke. Luke from Wolves Fancast. Obviously, since West Ham are about to face Wolves this upcoming weekend, I believe on Sunday they moved the game to at 2 p.m. Eastern time. That would be 8 p.m. over there, British Standard Time. Luke, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for joining me. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm not too bad.
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. And let's just dive right into it, man. As I mentioned, you're part of the Wolves Fancast family. So I'm just wondering if you could share with some of our viewers who are obviously mainly West Ham fans that aren't familiar with Wolves Fancast, what Wolves Fancast is, sort of the origin of Wolves Fancast, and then how you got involved with Wolves Fancast as well.
The Fancast started about 10, 12 years ago now. There's a guy called David Evans. I used to work with David in an office, and we used to get round the water cooler and just talk football. And then he just said one day, I'll do this podcast. Do you want to come on? Talk about the Wolves, talk about the match. And I thought, why not? Kill a couple of hours once a week. Did it for about 4 years. And then sort of stepped back a little bit. Went back after about 18 months, did about 2 years, stepped back a bit again, and then I got asked to come back on this season just to talk absolute nonsense about Wolves, basically. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We just like to review the game and just try and offer a bit of insight into Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Nice. So you've been there a bit on and off over the last several years or so. Is it just a podcast? Do you guys also do other types of content, or is it mainly podcast focused?
Mainly podcast. We do a couple of blogs as well. We've got a couple of people who come on the podcast who do blogs. So just podcast, blogs, try and be funny on Twitter. That's about it, really.
Gotcha. Nice. So let's talk a little bit about. I'm also interested about the growth of Wolves Fancast. I mean, it's a pretty massive. It has a pretty massive following. I believe it has over 20,000 followers on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think it has a little over 20.
Yeah. I had a look. I think it was only yesterday or the day before. I had a look on the Fancast, and I saw that they had 20,000 followers, and I couldn't believe it myself just how big it's become now. I remember the days when we used to struggle to get a retweet, and now you've got an audience of 20,000. So kudos to the guys that have been on over the years to help it grow. Because it just started off as a couple of lads just talking Wolves, and fair play to Dave. I mean, he's no longer on the podcast, but fair play to him because he's built a good platform there for us to now hopefully push on and just continue to grow.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Twitter account now, 21.1 thousand. Obviously, that doesn't happen overnight, right? Like you even said, you remember the days where you struggled to get a retweet, and you guys have been doing this for over a decade. So obviously, a lot of time and effort have been put in. But I do think that growth that you've seen from the podcast over the last decade can sort of be put in parallel with the growth of the club in general. I mean, even just 5 years ago, I feel like you guys were miles away from where you are today, a club that, really shouldn't be facing any sort of relegation threat whatsoever, a club that is more looking towards the upper half of the table in the European spots, obviously. Can you just from a Wolves fan perspective, can you put it in perspective for a West Ham fan, especially ones that may not be too familiar with Wolves as a club in general? This once was a great club. a club that did challenge for Europe consistently decades ago, but then did fall, I think, all the way to League One, if I'm not mistaken, in the last 10 to 15 years, but has sort of just had a meteoric rise. Can you sort of explain to the people that may not be too familiar with the sort of up and down roller coaster of Wolves, like how crazy it's actually been for you fans?
I mean, it's mental. I mean, I'm 34 now, so 95% of my Wolves support in life, we've just been plainly average, like painfully average. Always in the Championship, um, mid-table playoffs, couple of seasons in the Prem, a season in League One. But going back, I mean, we founded European football. We was one of the biggest clubs, the most successful, well, one of the most successful clubs in England. I mean, many years ago, back in the 50s, one of the founding members of the club. So, you know, a lot of fans try and poke fun at Wolves, little old Wolves, but when you go back in history, we're actually a big club and we've got a lot of importance to football.
Right.
Where we're at now, it is crazy. I never ever thought I'd be supporting my local team, and it wouldn't be too unrealistic if we was talking about Champions League like we was until the last game of last season. Yeah. Never, ever, ever would I have thought that. I mean, going back 10 years ago, 5 years ago even if we was just a Premier League club that finished 15th, 16th every season, I think most Wolves fans would have ripped your hand off for that.
Right.
So to see where we are now, it's unbelievable. It's like it sort of still doesn't even feel real that it's happening because we're just so used to being average. But now we've got to get used to being pretty good.
Yeah, and that brings me to my next question for you. Obviously, a meteoric rise for the club over the last couple of seasons, where again your eyes are more focused towards the top half of the table than below you. So coming into this season, and can you remind me, did you guys get European football for this season or no? I think you
no, we missed out on goal difference. If Arsenal would have lost in the FA Cup final, we would have got European football. But hey ho, it wasn't to be. But you know, we made a good account of ourselves, and I'll say 90% of Wolves fans were happy with that season. We're disappointed now. We've had a taste of Europe. It's disappointing, but when you look at the bigger picture, you know, just to be there, you know, I'm happy just to be there. If we're finishing seventh, you know, I'm happy just to be there. But it was disappointing as well. On the other hand, so we didn't get European football, but we was pretty damn close.
Yeah, very close. But you guys did get it the last season, or you know, you had it last season. So because of where you guys were just, you know, a decade ago compared to where you are now, and you say things like Wolves fans would have ripped your hand off for just being 15th, 16th in the Premier League consistently. But given where you guys have risen to, what are the expectations moving forward for this club this year? I guess I'm more interested in like your personal expectations, but then also like what are the majority of Wolves fans thinking? Are they happy like you just to be there still, or are there a majority of fans sort of saying, all right, we're here, let's do something, let's get back into Europe right now?
I think it's with Wolves fans, it's difficult. We're a very, very, very bipolar fan base.
Okay.
You know, we've got some fans who, even where we're at now, some fans are still just would take 16th. Some fans expect us to win the league. We're very, very bipolar. Me personally, I think anything below 8th or 9th, and I'd be disappointed. I'm quite optimistic, and I honestly think that we can get between 3rd and 5th. Don't see no reason why we can't. I mean, I look at squads like Tottenham, Arsenal, Leicester, Everton, maybe even Chelsea, and I honestly don't think that they're much better than us. Obviously, they're bigger clubs and they've got a lot more Premier League experience, but man for man, pound for pound, I don't see them being much better than us. So, me, if I had to put my neck on the line, I think we'll finish 5th this season. If we finish 7th or 8th, I wouldn't moan too much, but I think anything below 8th, then we've got to be looking at, well, that's quite a disappointing season now, which is strange to say because, like I said, only 5 years ago, I would have been happy just to finish in the playoffs in the Championship.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's quite a weird scenario, to be fair.
Yeah, I was about to say it's interesting how those perspectives change, and I mean, I think rightfully so. Like your expectations are high. I mean, you guys have been in the 6th and 7th range for 2 years now, and like you even said earlier, you guys were in the mix for Champions League up until the last week or two. I mean, if you do that a couple seasons in a row, then of course your expectations are going to rise. I think that's only natural, and I think those rising expectations from the fan base are warranted. Now, I think 2 matches you guys have played, 1 win, 1 loss. Sheffield United, I believe you beat 2-0 pretty comprehensively. And then I know you guys lost to City 3-1. I did not see the City match, but from what I read, you guys didn't play all that poorly. The scoreline may have been a bit harsh, and you guys almost made it interesting there at the end. What have your thoughts been so far on the team's performances through the first?
Sorry. First game against Sheffield United, solid start. We was 2-0 within 6 minutes, which sort of killed the game because we were comfortable from then. It was just a routine win, but a 2-0 win away from home in the Premier League is fantastic. Man City, first half, my opinion, I thought was absolutely dreadful. We didn't have no tempo. We couldn't string 2 passes together. We wasn't pressing hard enough or fast enough. But then in our defence, Man City were absolutely superb in that first half. They completely played us off the park and fully deserved to go in at half-time winning. Second half, completely different game. We stepped it up. Man City then were on the back foot. And realistic, I mean, we could have had 4 or 5 goals ourselves. We had some really, really good chances. And then Man City scored at the end, make it 3-1. But it wasn't a 3-1 game. Wasn't a 3-1 game. A draw might have been a fair result when you factor in the chances that we had in the second half. So, but again, Man City, they're Man City and Liverpool, in my opinion, they're a level above everyone else. So to come away from a game against Man City disappointed that you haven't got a point, it's still a positive. There's lots of positives to take from the game, even though the result didn't go in our favour.
Yeah, you're totally right. Like losing to Man City is not something to press the panic button about. I mean, they are.
Our season isn't going to be defined against results against Man City and Liverpool. Our season will be defined how we get on against Tottenham, Everton, Arsenal, Liverpool. Even, no disrespect, but clubs like who we would possibly say would be at the lower end of the table: West Ham's, Crystal Palace, West Brom, Brighton. They're the games that we need to make sure that we're winning. Sort of Man City is kind of like a free hit. You play Liverpool or Man City, and if you can get a point, it's a bonus, isn't it? So it's sort of like a free hit.
Absolutely, absolutely. You mentioned a couple of teams there. You mentioned Liverpool. You mentioned Tottenham as well, and that's sort of a nice segue into the next topic I want to talk to you about because two of your real key players left the club this transfer window. Matt Doherty to Spurs, and Diogo Jota to Liverpool, which I was a bit surprised about. Let's talk about transfers overall, though, because you guys also have some transfers coming in. You guys have a list here: Fabio Silva, Kijan Hover. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Marcal, and then of course recently Nelson Semedo from Barcelona, who has struggled in Barcelona, but still is a very good right back.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, what have you thought about Wolves' transfer business so far?
I'm quite happy. I think in regards to Doherty leaving, I think most Wolves fans would say with the formation and the system we play, it suits Matt Doherty. Moving to Tottenham, if Tottenham continue to play a back 4, then Matt Doherty's going to get found out because his stats sort of mask how he is as a player. He gets goals, he gets assists. No one can take that away from him. Fantastic return. But defensively, I think he's quite weak. And then to replace him with Semedo, obviously a lot of people are saying that Semedo's a downgrade on Doherty because of his performance against Bayern Munich.
I don't
But
know
you
about
don't
that.
get over 100 times for Barcelona by mistake. Would
No,
Matt Doherty get in Barcelona's team? Of course he wouldn't.
no.
So it's an upgrade, isn't it?
Yeah.
In regards to Jota, I think we was quite surprised as well because there been no rumours about Jota and until the days leading up
It
to the
happened
transfer.
so quickly.
Yeah, but again, Jota, I like Jota, and he was one of my favourite players, but he was also frustrating. For me, as an attacking player, he didn't contribute to enough goals. I think he got 1 assist last season, which isn't good enough. I've seen a stat. In 29 of the 34 league games he appeared in last season, he didn't contribute towards a goal for the team, which isn't good enough, in my opinion. And if he's going to, for me, £45 million, absolutely fantastic. I would take that all day. He's going to Liverpool. Will he succeed there? Difficult one to say. And if Mane leaves and he's gone to replace Mane, then Liverpool fans will be disappointed. Give
Oh
it 2
yeah.
minutes before they're booing him.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, Mane's world class. I think Mane is their best player in my opinion. I think he's going to win Player of the Year. I think he's sort of taking that next step as a
totally,
player.
totally.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, as it stands now, Jota won't get in that 11 for
I
certain.
just don't see where he fits in because you've got Mane, Firmino, and Salah.
Yeah.
He's not going to get Salah.
No,
He
no, no.
can't get Mane. The only other one is maybe Firmino. So you're going to swap a non-goal scoring attacker for another non-goal scoring attacker. But this is why I think, from a Wolves point of view, fantastic business. £45 million. All right, we've signed, and with the rumours at the moment of Douglas Costa coming from Juventus, possibly.
Right.
Again, then you look at it. People might say, "Oh, Douglas Costa this, Douglas Costa that. He's no good." Blah blah blah. But would Jota have got into Juventus's team?
No.
Probably not. Douglas Costa was. So, with all due respect to Wolves, Juventus are a level or two above Wolves, if not 3 levels above Wolves. So, for me, we've upgraded again.
Yeah, and also back to that Semedo point. I know he struggled a little bit towards the end there, but Barcelona as a whole were struggling. I think that there was a little bit of a toxic environment over there as a club. And then 2, it's Bayern Munich, the best team currently. I believe Bayern Munich are the best team in the world currently.
And because I only watched the highlights of that game, and even I noticed Semedo was poor in that game.
Oh, he was so bad.
But he was up against Alphonso Davies, who again, absolutely fantastic. What a player he's going to be.
Unreal.
And it's no shot. Everyone has bad games. Ronaldo has bad games. Messi has bad games. Gareth Bale, when he was on his game, had bad games. Harry Kane, one of the best natural finishers in the league, has bad games. It's just the way football works.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think about Fabio Silva? What do you think about that signing? You guys spent quite a bit of money on him.
Yeah, I mean, it's our record transfer fee ever. You got to give him time. You got to see how he gets on. I mean, he's good on Football Manager, so that might be a positive sign.
He's a center forward, no?
What's that? Sorry.
Is he a center forward?
Yeah, centre forward. And for an 18-year-old, he's got a bit of physicality about him. He likes to get involved.
He's only 19.
Yeah. This is what I mean. It's one of those transfers. I don't think we're going to be able to judge it for 2 or 3 seasons.
Okay.
He's either going to come and flop, and everyone will be like, "Oh my god, you've spent 30 odd million on a dud," or he's actually going to reach his potential and what the media are courting around him, and it'll be like, how did Wolves get him at 18 when he's one of the best players in the world? So it's a bizarre one, and I haven't really had much conversation around Silva because I don't know hardly anything about him. I can't really pass judgment. I've seen him play 1 game, well, 1 and a bit games, so I really can't comment, and it's just one of those. We'll just wait and see.
Gotcha.
But I think when you look back at our transfer history since Fosun have come in, and especially since Nuno's been at the helm, we haven't really made any bad transfers. Well, we've made 1 or 2 bad transfers, but when we've actually spent a bit of money, they've all turned out all right. So I'll trust in Nuno. He knows a lot more about the game than I do. So
Yeah, I definitely trust in Nuno, and that's a great segue into the next topic. I think he is arguably the most valuable manager. Not only that Portuguese connection, as you know, obviously that has helped you guys in the transfer business and in the transfer world. But yeah, I can't really I can pinpoint a lot of very good transfers as opposed to very bad transfers for you guys. You know, in the last 5 years or few years, Traore, Jimenez. I mean, Raul Jimenez, what a signing he was. And I think you guys only got him for less than £20 million, maybe less than 25. I could be mistaken, but not that much. He's worth, 4x that now. So, and then of course, I believe it was in the last week or two, you guys extended Nuno's contract through 2023, I think. So at least a couple more seasons before maybe he moves on. Who knows? But again, every time I watch a Wolves game, you guys are just so well managed, so well drilled, so well coached. You can just see the camaraderie between the coaching staff as well. Every time you guys score a goal, the whole coaching staff hugs.
Yeah.
It's incredible, and I honestly envy you guys to have a manager like that. How important has Nuno been in this whole sort of formula that has resulted in the rise of Wolves over the last? I mean, I mean, from like I said, from an outside perspective, it seems like he's been massive. I mean, do you agree? How big?
100%. Without Nuno, this doesn't happen. Yeah. It's as simple as that. Without Nuno, this doesn't happen. Nuno is the key. That's the most important signing of the summer for us. Getting Nuno tied down to a long-term deal. Obviously, we know in football contracts count for nothing. If somebody wants it, if Liverpool or Man City or Barcelona want Nuno, they get Nuno. It's as simple as that. But we get a bit more money for him if he does go. Yeah. And with Nuno, you're not just signing Nuno, you're signing the backroom staff as well.
Yeah.
So Nuno is a god. He's a legend in Wolverhampton. But we also recognise the work that his backroom team do as well. And like you said, the camaraderie, it's priceless. And obviously there's been rumours of Jimenez going, Traore going, we've lost Jota, we've lost Doherty. I would lose any player over Nuno.
Wow. I mean, I don't think not every fan of every club is going to say that about their. I mean, certainly we wouldn't, but also I think a lot of top clubs, fans of top clubs, wouldn't say that either. I mean, those are some pretty massive words there.
Yeah, and I mean, there might be some Wolves fans out there who disagree with me, but Nuno is the key. And there was just after we beat Olympiacos in the Europa League, there's a great picture where Nuno's giving a team talk, and all the squad, all the players, all the coaches are in a huddle. Nuno's giving a team talk, and every player's eyes are transfixed on him, which just shows how important he is and how much they absorb what he says and how much they value his words and his knowledge. And to me, that's priceless. I mean, you see some managers and they speak and the players don't care. They're not listening because they've got no respect for them. Right. And it makes a massive difference, in my opinion. I mean, we've seen it more than most clubs. We've had some terrible managers over the years, and I mean, absolutely terrible. So, we understand how lucky we are and how blessed we are. We really do.
Yeah. And let's talk about, for a fan that hasn't really seen Wolves play a lot, or doesn't really watch a lot of Wolves matches, what's Nuno's style of play? How do you guys usually set up? And sort of, what's the style that your players bring to the table every match?
I mean, we've got the 3 centre halves, wing back, usually 2 in the middle with 3 attacking players. And to be fair, you can see Nuno, it varies team by team who we play. But it's sort of like a counter-attacking style that we adopt. But Nuno has said that he's looking to transition and change the way that we play to maybe more possession-based and dominate games a little bit more, because even though we are a very good footballing team, we're happy to concede the ball because our shape is so solid. We know that we're going to get it back, or we're going to be extremely hard and difficult to break down.
Your shape is always so solid. That's the one thing I notice about you guys. Always there.
We're well drilled. We're tight. it's sort of like the players are like robots. Like everyone's got a job, and everyone does their job, and it's key because it's weird because for the last 2 seasons we have sort of played the same way, and we always near enough 9 times out of 10 set up the same way. And people were saying, "Oh, they'll find out how to play Wolves, and you'll fall apart." They should know how to play us by now, and we haven't fell apart. So testament to Nuno and his tactics.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, always in perfect shape, especially when we play you guys. I mean, there's 2, 3 guys sometimes. If we get the ball back, there's 2, 3 guys ready to go, pounce. They're
Yeah,
always there. The passing lanes are they're open
the
for just a second and then they're closed. It's pretty incredible.
the work rate, I would say,
Yeah.
second to none. I'm sure we was actually the team that covered the most distance last season in the Premier League because they just don't stop.
Yeah.
They do not stop, and work rate. It's so. What's the word I'm looking for? It's so crucial in football, especially at the top level. If you look where most goals come from, usually from somebody switching off, more so than a moment of brilliance, because you switch off at the top level, and the players are that good, they just punish you straight away. So I think that's key.
Absolutely.
Our work rate and shape, we're just so difficult to break down, and then because teams can't break us down, they will move out of position to try and find a way through. And when you've moved out of position, that's it, game over. Well, obviously not all the time, but we'll try our best to hurt you that way. It's like sometimes I look at Wolves and I feel like we're like a snake, and we'll lure you in, and then we'll just wrap ourselves around you until you can't breathe, and that's when we'll strike.
Interesting metaphor. Wow. So if you're talking to a West Ham, well, I guess you are talking to a West Ham fan. Or especially if you're talking to a West Ham fan again that hasn't seen Wolves play all that often, what would you tell them we need to be afraid of? What are your main strengths here? Your main top players, main strengths, main things to look out for if you're West Ham playing Wolves?
I'd say one of the main things to look out for is if he decides to turn up, is Traore, because when he's on his game, he's unplayable. You see week in, week out, there's 2, 3, sometimes 4 players around him, and you can't stop him once he's running. You can't stop him unless you foul him. Obviously, we've got Jimenez and his movement, his work rate, his finishing in front of goal. I like Neto and Podence as well. Both direct runners. They'll get the ball and they'll look to run it. Yeah. Then you've got the passing range of Neves, the footballing mind of Moutinho. If Semedo starts, obviously you've got his pace down the wing as well. So I don't want to try and sound too big-headed, but there's a lot to look out for.
Right.
There is quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean Traore has consistently just been our kryptonite. I feel like he either scores or assists to Jimenez every time we play. And that's why I do think that we're going to have to play 3 at the back like we did against Arsenal. It actually worked out pretty well. We I don't know if you saw the match, but we deserved at least a point out of that, arguably all 3. And we played 3 at the back with obviously 2 wing backs. And I do think we're going to have to play that way to sort of have cover for Traore on that right flank, because
if
we play a back 4, our left back, either Masuaku or Cresswell. Masuaku can maybe keep up with them pace-wise, but he's not good enough technically. And then Cresswell, forget about it. I mean, Traore will just run right by him. There's no way he'll stop him. So I think we're going to need to play that back 3 with the 2 wing backs in order to provide that sort of double team coverage. But obviously, no team is perfect. So, like, what are maybe the weaknesses that West Ham can exploit against this Wolves squad, do you think?
A weakness could be Traore.
Really?
If he turns up or not. I mean, he played right wing back against Man City in the last game, and obviously defensively he's not great.
Right.
His positioning as a right wing back isn't great. But you can see from the second Man City goal, Sterling was just in between Bolly and Traore, got slipped in easy because of Traore. He's not defensively minded. Weaknesses, maybe if I'm clutching at straws, Moutinho, if he starts 3 games in just over a week, 34 now, has he got the legs? I thought he was quite poor against Man City. It's probably the worst I've seen Moutinho play since we signed him, and he's absolutely fantastic. So I'm not trying to put him down, but at that age, could he be a weakness? Is that something that you could exploit? We're not that great physically in midfield either.
Okay.
So who do you think you go with? Declan Rice and is it Soychek?
Yeah, I think especially if we go with that back 3, yeah, we'll definitely go with Declan Rice. Soychek will probably be in there as well because usually Noble's in there, but when we went with the back 3 with the 2 wingbacks, Noble was the odd man out. So I think we'll go Rice and Soychek in the midfield. Yeah,
that's especially in our first season. That's where we lost a lot of our games. Teams came to the Molineux, put 3 in midfield, and Neves and Moutinho was nowhere to be seen at times, especially when there's a bit of physicality in midfield as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, but that's also something that we've struggled with as well. Souček has been a great signing. He's that box-to-box midfielder that we've been lacking for quite some time. And obviously Declan Rice, England international, has talent, only 20 or 21 now. But that physicality is something, that hard-nosed edge, it's really something only Noble brings. But Noble also, he's getting up there in age. He's 32 now. His legs are starting to go a little bit. So it's something we also struggle with as well. In addition to pace, especially in the fullback spot, like I mentioned. But yeah, Luke, I think we should probably wrap this up. And we always wrap it up, obviously, with some match predictions. So obviously interested to hear in how you think the match will play out.
I'm hoping for a Wolves win. Quietly confident that we can get a win. We've got a good record against West Ham, actually. I think we're unbeaten before.
You've won 4 out of 4.
1 or 4. So hopefully we make it 5 from 5, and I'll go 2-1 Wolves.
2-1 Wolves, yeah. My heart says that we'll get something out of this game, because we did play so well against Arsenal. I mean, it was really poor luck on our part, but we struggled so poorly against Wolves. Nuno seems to, be smart enough to realize that all he really needs to do is get Traore on that right wing and let him run free.
Yeah.
I think we'll make a good game out of it. I don't think we'll get smoked, but I do think we're going to lose as well. I'm going to go 1-0 Wolves. Reluctantly. I want to say 1-1, but I'm going to go 1-0. And our run of fixtures, I don't know if you've seen our run of fixtures after this. It's Spurs, Leicester City, Liverpool after you guys.
So is that David Moyes getting the sack?
I mean, if you go, so let's say we lose versus you guys and then lose those 4, that's, 7 matches, 7 losses. I think you have to sack him then. It's a horrid run, but at the same time, I mean, we're looking at potentially getting our first points 2nd week of November. That's not usually a recipe for success there, but
not really.
We'll see. Well, hey, Luke, I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for taking the time to speak with me. Again, it's always a pleasure getting to know soccer fans across the globe and talk to supporters of other Premier League sides. So really appreciate it, man.
No problem.
I want to wish you luck, but I don't think you guys really need it against us, so I'm not going to. But thanks, man. Again, really appreciate it. And thank you.
No, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course, man.